Hey, this is Watchman Pren here. Kidding. I like how I can kind of play with those little names that float over the heads, make it seem like someone else's name is mine. So I'm outside Akanon. I actually gated, mistakenly thinking that gating would take me to Kelethin because I thought I was bound in Kelethin for some reason. And it brought me to Akanon because I haven't changed my bind point, and that's fine. Okay, so level 9, right at the beginning, barely any XP, and I am going to go to Crushbone for most of the level. That's the plan. Oh, part of me while I'm here. Ooh, is that a druid? Probably. People generally don't go anonymous for no reason. You know what? While I'm here, it's okay. I got a lot to talk about. I want to try one of those skeletons that I've been curious about. There's one. Perfect. Even.
That is ridiculous. Dude, level 9 NPCs, really? I don't have enough mana for this. But I'm gonna give it a shot. Let's just see what happens. What could go wrong? 39 each time? That's pretty good. And I don't think he's gonna hit me as hard as he did early on. And I have so I can run. This is what they call kiting. Alright, let me just fight him. Because I can probably hit him a few times. And I don't have enough mana to... Okay, that's... Oh, I could have rooted him and then sat back and meditated. But in even con, I'm not going to have an easy time rooting. This is not going well, as predicted. Yeah, he is capable of hitting me for 20. But at least my defense went up. God, he's hitting me so hard. You know, when you get hit like really hard in this game, like for max, like that 20, it makes this extra like crunchy sound. And of course my hit point buff starts to fade. Okay, this isn't gonna happen. Help me, Watchman Dreeb. As you've done so many times before. I had high hopes for that, and it just didn't happen. Okay, well.
I want to talk about Crushbone, even though it's a bit of a runaway. Not like Runaway like the Kanye West song, but... Okay, so... I'm going to talk about Crushbone first from a game design perspective, and then from a roleplay perspective. Did this guy bind himself here? Cracky. Gonna guess Enchanter. Yep. Okay, so let's think about what Crushbone is and what it was meant to be. By the way, I love that this is the 1 hit point spell that has the little like Spirit of Wolf looking buff animation instead of like, normally they look like that, the green stuff. Okay. Oh, he's asking me something. Hey, do you have a few open bag slots? Why, yes I do. He's probably going to ask me to transfer items. That's a common occurrence in this game, maybe not so much in Steamfun Mountains. I keep getting distracted. Sure, I'll be a pal. At least I know, or he knows, that I'm not going to screw him over. I closed out the meditate window because... Oh, this is what the trade window looks like, by the way. Oh, he's got some real fancy stuff. If you're meditating, you can't trade. Oh, wait a second. He meant those slots? I thought he meant like slots within bags. Hold up. Oh, that is 3. Alright. Hold up, homie. This is not what I meant to be filming here. 4 gold and 3 bags. Okay, great. Let's just, take a peek. What's he got here? Oh, one of them's empty. Oh, this is junk. I thought it was good stuff. I mean, that's nice. Oh, that's nice too. I mean, it's... Oh, never mind. That's junk. What is going on here? Why does he want to transfer all this junk? Alright, whatever. Solomon. Okay, so this is, this is part of the game. This is like the player community you interact with other people, you have a reputation. Like if I just took all this guy's stuff and wore it and sold it to merchants or whatever, he'd probably put me on blast on the P99 message board. He'd be out of charactering. He'd be like, Jane stole my stuff. Yeah, so that's why I'm not going to do it. I'm going to help him out. Plus, this kind of thing gives me peace of mind that, hey, if I'm holding his stuff for him and I know that I'm good for it, and I'm not going to screw this guy over, that at least means that one person is getting their stuff transferred to another character without getting screwed over. And that's a good feeling. And you hope that if you have to do the same, you're transferring stuff from one character to another, you would hope someone else doesn't screw you over. Just sort of, what's that term? Pass it forward or play it forward? Whatever that term is. Pass it forward. Maybe that's a football thing. Okay, but I'm not going to sit here and wait forever. I mean, this guy better show up. Oh, I should be meditating. Silly goose. Okay. It's 1997. You are a game developer, and you're planning on making, I would say, the most ambitious RPG ever up to that point. Think about all the different things that you need to accomplish that. One of which is, you want to make sure people don't get burnt out on the game too early. Is that the guy? That's not the guy. Because, oh, that's a great name, though. Oh, that's the guy. Solomon. Okay. You had this, for gold. Yep, that's it. What? It's probably that robe. Bet you that's what it is. Okay. It'd be funny if I traded all this to Watchman Dreeb. Alright. Now can I finally get on with my story here? Put that milk down. Okay. So, you want to make sure your player base doesn't get burnt out on hunting rats and spiders and skeletons at level 1. So that reviewers don't call your game Rat Hunter 3D. Well, they did anyway. I do want to try and get soap from this guy, so I'll just hang back while he... Oh, this guy's still asking me for stuff. Yeah, this guy probably knows I want to sew. It's, druids and shamans, they just know. When someone just runs up to them and sits in front of them, they're like, I know what this guy wants. I'll hold my thank you for when he actually casts it, and I'll click mine off. I keep interrupting myself here. I'm clicking that off because if it so happens that the person who cast that sew on me was a higher level than this guy, his will not land on me. It'll say your spell could not take effect. So, even though the higher level sew is actually faster than his might be, and I have no idea what level this guy is because he's anonymous, probably because he doesn't want to get asked for ports. Even though the higher level spell might be faster that someone cast on me, that spell might only have 2 minutes left on its duration. Whereas this is a brand new fresh sew. It's got a ton of time left on it. Do I want to try another skeleton before I go? I am curious. I don't want to mess with these guys. They're not that good experience. Is that a skeleton? Some of these rats I know are... Oh, there's a rat right near me. I'm hearing that. I promise on my run, I'm gonna talk about Crushbone. I just want to see if there's a skeleton here I can kill. Maybe one of them is blue. How the hell is a giant rat dubious? I'm sorry, not dubious. Even con. At level 9. That's insane. Oh, there is something over there that's worth investigating. I think it's like a... Is it a Minotaur camp? Might be a Minotaur camp. Oh, you can tell it looks fancy. It is a Minotaur camp. Ooh, and they're yellow. Okay, they're yellow. But there's gnome slaves! My fellow gnomes are enslaved by these 2 Minotaurs. I don't have the strength to free them. I can't kill 2 yellow Minotaurs. Whoa! I hear someone casting. Oh! Maybe she can save them. Oh, she's only 1 level higher than me. Man, this right here will show you the power of a necro. Let me actually help a sister out here. Give her some center. And perhaps more importantly, give her pet some center. Okay. After I cast this, I'm going to run to Crushbone. I don't see any skeletons. I'm not going to bother. And I don't know if there's any faction worth getting out of those Minotaurs. Okay, so... Oh, yeah. Oh, King Achenon. Nice. Meldrath. I'll talk about him later. You want to make sure people don't get burnt out in the game early on. I think one way to do that is to come up with an inventive dungeon that people can start to use at a low level. Now, you don't want to make it a level 1 dungeon. You want level 1 to be like, hey, here's the game. Almost like an extension of the tutorial, which, by the way, this game had a great tutorial. I mean, it was cheesy, but it was good. I don't know if there's any way for me to film it. It did not come with the P99 server. But boy, do I remember that sucker like the back of my hand. I think it used to be accessible from the character selection screen. But I can't quite remember. What? What did this guy ask me? Oh, I think she thinks that I wanted the XP there, but I don't. I don't think she's asked me to join a group. I think she's like, hey, did I steal your stuff? And you didn't. You're good. Boo. Boo. Okay. So once someone gets to like level 4 or 5, they've got a good idea of how the game works, regardless of what class they are. Now there's some classes where by that level you're still kind of figuring things out. But for the most part, you know what your job is. And in the case of... Well, let me back up a bit. So you've got this player base. They're going to be playing this game for the first time. All these different race options. I think there's like 14 races in the game. Or 12. It's the number is... It's always been confused in my head. It's either 12 classes and 14 races or 14 classes and 12 races. It's something like that. And what was that? Oh, it's just a pawn. Huh. Oh, maybe I can kill these bandits. Although they are indifferent and they're green. Not worth it. This I'm just killing for faction. So, ideally, every single race would get its own dungeon, right? Like, oh, the ogres can have their dungeon, dark elves can have their dungeon. Well, then you start to realize pretty quickly that that's just not feasible to develop all those dungeons for all those races. So then you start thinking as a developer, how can I group players together? Because I do want them to join groups. Like, that was one of the stated goals of a game like this, and if you follow the patch notes for all the different patches that this game had from the beginning to whenever it peaked, they were always trying to push players toward grouping together. And A, it's unfeasible to design a dungeon for every single race, and B, you're not going to get as many players. Like, there's not that many people that are going to choose just ogres or just trolls or just dark elves. So you want to try and figure out a way where players can kind of coalesce into one place early on in the game so that they get a feel for what later in the game will be like, so that they stick around and keep playing. because, again, this game had a monthly charge. It doesn't anymore because it's P99, but P99 is like an independent project, if you didn't know. I have no idea where I am, by the way. I do see part of a path over here, I think. I'll figure it out. I'll end up at Crushbone at some point, and I'll give a little tour of Crushbone. Is that another? That's a Centurion. I will kill this guy just for the belt potential and the faction. So I think that they pretty quickly realized, hey, let's figure out what the most popular races might be, and maybe they did that through focus group testing, and let's make a dungeon somewhere central for different groups of races. So the big two that ended up popping up were Crushbone on Fadewar, where the gnomes, the dwarves, and two of the elven races started pretty damn close to, and then Blackburrow on Antonica, where you had the Eurydites, humans, and barbarians all starting pretty close to Blackburrow. And I don't think it's any coincidence that those two dungeons are pretty similar to each other, and they're both technically outdoors even though they're dungeons, which is interesting. And I think that was purposely done as well. And they both have items that drop that you can turn in for experience. Now in the case of Crushbone, you can turn in belts or you can sell them, which you can't do with the Blackburrow Gnoll Teeth. And so the enemy in Crushbone is orcs, the enemy in Blackburrow is gnolls. So there inevitably were some races that were kind of left out of the equation. Like, if you're an ogre or a troll, you don't have a starting dungeon. Now you could argue, well, Guck, the beginning parts of Guck were friendly for low-level players. Yeah, kind of, but if a high-level train comes by, you're screwed. And same with, I mean, kind of Neriak and Freeport for the Dark Elves. So, oh, here we go. Okay, so this is Crushbone. Listen to that music. It's scary. The organ is a little bit heavier than I remember it being. I remember that being kind of in the background. Okay, so from this perspective here, is that an orc down there? I don't want to pull from there because the orc hill people might be pulling those. So this is Crushbone. You got these flags out front. If you're brand new to this game, you just got to level 4 on your ranger or warrior or whatever, and you come here, you're like, oh, this is something. And I think that they wanted that experience. You've got this giant tree here that has these symbols on it, which match the symbols on the, well, kind of match the symbols on the flags. And, okay, maybe not at all, actually. The symbols look different. You're excited, and you see all these dwarves and elves, and you're like, oh, are they all going to be in here too? Okay, I'll be safe because there's other players in here, and it's just sort of this communal thing. And I do think that some races ended up getting left out of the equation. I think halflings, because they're kind of in no man's land in the middle of Antonica. Okay, so this is Crushbone. I'll slowly explore this while I keep talking. Blackburrow and Crushbone were perfect examples. And unfortunately, I mean, on this character, I'm not really going to be able to show you Blackburrow unless it's at a later level. It's very similar to Crushbone. I would say it's actually more dangerous than Crushbone. It's just, there's more risk for trains. A train is when someone takes a bunch of mobs and just runs into the zone because they realize they can't kill them. And then if you're a person sitting at the zone, you're going to get trained by just like a train of mobs. It's dangerous, and you have that in this zone for sure, but I think Blackburrow actually has it worse. The other thing about Blackburrow is you go like lower and lower into the zone, whereas here it's, well, I'll show you. Here it's more even. You're on the same playing field for most of this zone. So I think the developers knocked it out of the park with Blackburrow and Crushbone. I think they missed the mark with halflings, who do technically have Running Eye. Ooh, there's an ogre. But again, Running Eye is one of those dungeons where it's like, okay, at high levels, you can explore the whole place. At low levels, you can kind of only explore the entrance, and that's just too dangerous. And I think most players, just like Guck, would have shied away from that. And I don't think it just ended up working. I think maybe they kind of had the idea to do that with Befallen for Dark Elves and humans that started in Freeport, but I just don't think it really ended up working out that way. Like, I don't think most people... Is this guy trying to taunt my mob? He's got some good gear, this guy. Oh, he's level 37. Okay. I don't think most people really felt safe enough in Befallen or Najna, if you want to argue that. And I know if you've never played this game before, you have no idea what I'm talking about. I'm talking about trying to create an experience for new players that are low level to go to a dungeon and group with other players. And I think that they did that well in certain places, and they failed in other places. Crushbone is a place where they knocked it out of the park. But given where some of the races were, and probably what their focus groups were telling them about how many players were actually going to pick ogres and trolls, it didn't make sense to do it for every race. And so some races like that ogre, even though he's level 37, I've seen lower level ogres in this zone in Crushbone, because A, they want the faction, and B, they just didn't really have a great place to get experience in their starting area. They kind of felt like, hey, I gotta get out of my starting area because it kind of sucks. I want to go somewhere where I can group with other players, and I can't really do that where ogres start. And you definitely couldn't say Kazakh Duel, because that place is just nuts. But it's definitely not somewhere you're going to go at level 5. Even the entrance is higher level. So that is what I think Crushbone was designed to do. And it worked. How about from a lore perspective? So when you kill orcs, you see this Indigo Brotherhood faction. Indigo Brotherhood are Dark Elves. Why am I getting Dark Elf faction, negative faction, on Fedor when the Dark Elves live on Antonica? Which is a question worth asking. I did kill one orc off camera, by the way. I put the belt there. So if I get any belts, I'm going to put it in that bag, which I want to get more of that bag. So, as I talked about last video or a couple videos ago, the elves, there's 3 elven races, and one of them is considered evil, the Dark Elves. The Dark Elves are not on the same continent as the Wood Elves and the High Elves, which are considered the good elves. Ooh, another belt. I'll probably group here at some point, but for now I just want to solo and talk about Crushbone. So, the Dark Elves are pretty much at war with the Wood Elves and the High Elves. And for the most part, High Elves and Dark Elves, and to some extent Wood Elves, but really just High Elves and Dark Elves, they think of themselves as superior to all the other races. They think they're better than the humans, they're smarter than them, they think they're better than the gnomes, the dwarves, definitely the trolls and ogres. And they have this sort of superiority complex to them. And the Dark Elves think that they're better than the other elves. And I guess the High Elves probably think that too. But they basically want to destroy each other. Now the High Elves, you don't really see any effort in Antonica for the High Elves to kill the Dark Elves. I think the High Elves and the Wood Elves kind of have this hands-off policy of like, okay, the Dark Elves exist, we don't like them, but as long as they don't mess with us, we're fine with them existing wherever they are. Which is pretty far away. And these belts are dropping pretty good. I should sit down and meditate. Now, the Dark Elves don't seem to take the same approach, because you will find Dark Elves on Fedor. You find them in Lesser Fedark. You don't see them on part of Lesser Fedark that I ran through, because I purposely tried to avoid that crap. What's that one there? Holy Armor? Holy Armor, you've been down too long. Why is this guy walking all the way over here? I guess he's a pather. Pit Chris? P-Tit Chris? Interesting. Oh yeah, as a rogue, you definitely want a group. There's dark elves in Lesser Fadark, and it kind of fits the whole like dark elf evil. Like, why are they called dark elves? Is it because their skin is like literally physically dark, or is it because they're evil? Right? Like, what's the dark aspect that they're trying to? And it's both. It's both. Is the answer. Man, there's no one around here. Might as well pick off these little greenies, try and get some belts. The reason why you get negative Dark Elf faction in here is because the Dark Elves have allied with the Orcs. They want to... The Orcs' home, Crushbone, it's the home of the Orcs, is right next to Kelethin and Felwith. So the Dark Elves probably saw an opportunity, again, this is all from a lore perspective, to crush the elves. Maybe not crush, but sort of irritate would probably be a better word. We can get the orcs to attack young high elves and wood elves, and maybe they'll be distracted so that we can actually invade Kelethin or Felwith. I don't know. I mean, I'm just kind of making stuff up here. I think that theory is consistent with the lore of this game. And there is some lore where you can actually... most of the zone, as you can see, is kind of just sort of outdoors, but it all leads to one area. Is that orc on its own? Yes, it is. Don't mind if I do. Hopefully I'm not, like, stealing anyone's camp here. I think most of Crushbone, with the exception of a couple defined camps, is kind of a free-for-all. So, but if anyone tells me, like, hey dude, that's our camp, I'll definitely back off, because I'm not trying to steal anyone's stuff. And I'll show you those. Well, actually, I can't really show you because it's like too dangerous, but I'll show you. I can show you one of the camp spots. So from a lore perspective, there is a strategic advantage for the Dark Elves to ally themselves with the Orcs, and they just so happen to be the same color as the Orcs. But I don't think that's why they allied. Oh, who's that guy? Oh, he's a mage. Cool. Level 15. Wow. I do not plan on being here at level 15. I want to go to Antonica by that point. Or maybe Unrest, which is another great dungeon. Which I've already done alright here, XP-wise. So, there's not much more to it than that. I mean, the Dark Elves ally themselves with the Orcs to cause a strain on the Wood Elves and High Elves. As a consequence, if you kill an Orc, you get negative Dark Elf faction. And there is a quest in this game. In fact, it has to do with that whole Orc runner that you see in Butcher Block. Oh man, I'm getting my ass kicked here. Is there more than just this guy on me? Oh, it's not. Okay, good. There's a quest in Butcher Block where you can kill that Orc runner that I saw. Oh no. Did I see it? Okay, good. I saw an Orc runner in Butcher Block a couple of videos ago, I believe, and I couldn't kill it because it was too high level. Now I could, probably. He drops a note, and if you read the note, he talks about something to do with Neriak, and that's kind of like part of the quest. You're like diving into the relationship between the orcs. Jeez, I don't think I can even safely run in there. You're sort of diving into the relationship between the orcs and the Dark Elves, and I think the quest is a Kelethin quest for Wood Elves. The idea is to like figure out what the alliance is, what it entails. Damn it. Wait. Oh, it worked. Okay, good. So, it is interesting. They didn't really flesh it out too good, but that's kind of part of the game. I mean, the lore is never like in your face in this game. I mean, it's kind of like Dark Souls and all that, except it's a bit more explanatory than that. But for the most part, they give you little nibbles of the lore, and then you can kind of figure it out on your own or fill in the blanks, and I think they did a good job with a lot of it. There are certain quests that do go very deep into the lore, and I plan on doing some of those quests. Is he a fellow cleric? He is. That's probably what I would have looked like. I think he's got all leather armor. That's what I would have looked like if I was a male. Shekels. He's got a shield. Oh, the damn shift button on this keyboard. One of the many issues I have with this keyboard. A rush of courage? What? That should not be overwriting. It must have faded. So yeah, so this is Crushbone. Let's see. Okay, so you walk into... Whoa, there's one right there. Everything can look peaceful in this game, but it can very quickly turn violent. Like out of nowhere, a parade of orcs could come training through here. So you walk in, you've got this old tunnel, and then you've got this big opening where you see these giant trees. And you're seeing those trees because you're still in the Fade Arc. Even though this is orc territory, you're still in, big tree land with a pink sky right now. That's a very pink sky. And then you're faced with three choices. You can either go right, straight, or left. And another sort of choice that you probably wouldn't expect is you can go up this hill. And that is called Trainer Hill, at least to most players. None of these things like Orc Hill have an official designation. I mean, zones have official designations. Uh-oh, there's a train. Let's see which direction it's coming from. But camp spots don't tend to have official designations. Is that the guy? No. You never know. That's one of the problems with calling trains. It's great that people call trains, but you never know what direction they're coming from. If that train is coming from the throne room of the castle, that's a whole different ballgame than if it's coming from, Trainer Hill. So most players, if you're starting out, you want to go left because that's where the lower level mobs are. That's probably why this guy's going that way. So you go left, and then you inevitably curve around this water, which leads you to a little hill here, and then a hill that goes down, and you see your first Orc Legionnaire, which is probably red to me. Yep. And I think I can single pull this guy. Let's do it. Wait, no. I don't have enough mana. Alright, I'll sit down for a minute. Let me actually move this over here so I can see the log cabin. So you've got a log cabin there, which is really the only, I guess the castle is kind of the only civilized structure in this zone, because the orcs were not designed to be civilized beings. They were designed to be sort of barbaric with a little bit of maybe traits that they learned from either the dark elves or just from being around the wood elves and the high elves. I call races like orcs and gnolls, I call them humanoids, because they're not like wild animals like rats, wolves, coyotes, spiders. But they're not a race that's sophisticated enough to be a race that you can play as. They're sort of in between that. Gnolls, orcs are the main two examples. Goblins are another one. I'm trying to think if there's anything else. I think those are the big three right there in the original EverQuest. Now when you start getting into the expansions, you have other options. But I think I can take this guy on now, assuming he's solo. Yep, looks like he's solo. If he wasn't, I think I probably would have seen more text there from more than just one orc. Now what I really don't want is for him to run away. This is where I could either use root or pure. Why do I still have word undead up? I should get rid of that. Should put gate up. I want to save enough mana to nuke him down at the end because I don't want him to be able to run to that Orc Legionnaire. What? Oh, it's just a pawn. Good. So green mobs won't attack you, even if they're scowl, unless you sit down near them. Or if you're really low health, then they'll gang up on you. Okay, I should be able to nuke this guy down. I like also when you get hit, you if it stuns you, it kind of like turns you around. Okay, so this guy's not running. There must be another NPC nearby that prevents him from running. Man, I am doing all right with these bones. So I know that was a very staggered conversation, and I don't feel safe enough to give a full tour of Crushbone right now. But oh, okay. I think I can take a greenie. I will do more of a tour of Crushbone, but I hope that explained a little bit from a game design perspective and from a lore perspective of how I think Crushbone is. So if I get a group, which is going to be my goal here, still pretty early into the level, I will film some footage of that. But for now, I'm out.